I want to welcome you all to the residence this evening. It's a especially happy occasion because I think it's one of the first events we've all attended in this new school year. New school years, of course, are always very nice because we meet all our old friends again and off we go. Of course, we are leaving behind the summer, but not quite there yet. But great to see you all and thank you for coming. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, welcome to the Embassy of Ireland for today's launch of the Earth Prize 2023. This is the second annual Global Sustainability Award for secondary school students, put forward and funded by the Earth Foundation. I extend a particular welcome to Peter McGarry, the founder of the Earth Foundation, and to his colleague Angela McCarthy, CEO of the Foundation, who've travelled from Zug and from Geneva to be with us today in the Federal City. I welcome also the many people who are joining us remotely. It's a very great pleasure for me to be hosting today's event, given that both Peter and Angela are respectively Irish and of strong Irish associations. Proud of their ancestral homeland, indeed, and resident in Switzerland. And Peter and Angela will speak about the Foundation and the Earth Prize momentarily. This year, ladies and gentlemen, should be the year that has finally removed all doubt about the urgency and the seriousness of the situation confronting humanity due to climate change. If there are still doubters or deniers out there, I think they're beyond the call of human reason at this stage. We don't have to go very far to see the evidence for ourselves. In the Alps, and I spent 10 days in Valais this summer, the glaciers are looking positively cadaverous after a winter with almost no fresh snow. Unprecedented temperatures at high altitudes has resulted in the permafrost melting, unleashing immense rockfalls, as you can see around Oisinensee near Kandersteg in the Bernese Oberland, not far from us here. The retreat of the glaciers is destabilizing the surrounding valleys. One has only to look at the earliest photos from the middle of the 19th century and compare them with today's reality to see the scale of the glacial retreat. And of course, this process is accelerating with immense implications in the not so distant future. Elsewhere, the implications of climate change are all too apparent in the terrible suffering currently being endured by people in Pakistan, due to flooding, in the Horn of Africa, due to drought, and more widely. Nor can we be complacent here in the West, where the combination of climate change and the consequences of Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine combine to threaten an extremely difficult winter for many people, a foretaste perhaps of what is to come, and maybe even hunger more widely. But there is still hope that the worst effects of climate change can be mitigated. Actions by our individual governments, by the European Union, the United Nations, and most recently by the US in adopting President Biden's Climate Action Plan are important steps. But while governments, global cooperation, and action by international and multilateral actors are essential, they cannot be sufficient of themselves. Ordinary people, men, women, and children, must be mobilized in the cause of saving planet Earth if we are to offset the worst effects of climate change. Think global, act local must be our motto. And I'm pleased to mention in this regard that here in Bern, many embassies are now coordinating their efforts in the Green Embassy Network to make their own activities more climate sustainable. The Netherlands currently is chairing the group, and I urge us all to participate. The Earth Foundation, through its Earth Prize, directed at mobilising and empowering the talents, energy and enthusiasm of secondary level students, provides us with an important beacon of hope. And I'm delighted now to invite Peter McGarry, founder of the Earth Foundation, to address us. Peter.
My name is Peter McGarry, and it's very special for me to be here as a fellow Irishman at the Irish Embassy here in Bern, Switzerland. It's great to welcome you all to the official launch of the Earth Prize 2023. The Earth Foundation, which is the home of the Earth Prize, is a Swiss non-for-profit. It's based in Geneva. It's got a team led by Angela McCarthy. But I'd also like to shout out and thank Diana, Kamal, and Annette, who worked tirelessly, and also John McCarthy, wherever you are, for all your help. Today's event wouldn't have happened, obviously, without the special hosting by Ambassador Hickey, but also by the staff here at the Irish Embassy, Claire and Carmen in particular, so we thank them all. From day one, this idea was meant to be global. And I don't think I've ever been in a room that felt more global, personally. So it's absolutely amazing to have so many ambassadors and representatives from countries all around the world. We've got about 50 countries represented here today, and that's really special. And thank you. We also have a lot of Swiss diplomats, ambassadors, and embassies online, and they were a fantastic help last year when we launched the prize initially. And it's great to have their continued support. Also here in Turkey, I'd like to just quickly touch on who is on our foundation board of directors. Thank you, Fritz. We've also got Professor G.A., who is a thought leader when we decided to make educational materials for these kids. Thank you, Professor, for coming. We also have some teachers here in person, teachers who traveled a long way and close, some from Bern. And it's really fantastic that they're here and they're enthusiastic about bringing this competition into their classrooms. And lastly, our very special guests who are joining us from around the world virtually, all the parents, the teachers, and the students. Thank you all for joining us today. So why is there an Earth Prize? Well, it was born out of my ignorance. I used to work in Geneva. Back in September 2019, I was sitting in my office and suddenly there was a loud commotion outside the window. And I walked over to the window and I looked down on the street and there were hundreds and then there were thousands of kids marching by. And they were chanting and they were cheering and they were shouting. They were waving homemade placards. And it was really quite a sight to be seen in a normally sleepy Geneva. And all those kids and millions more like them around the world had been inspired by one kid, a 15-year-old in Sweden who had sat outside the parliament. That kid we all know is Greta Thunberg, and I think it's quite powerful that one kid could influence so many. And those kids also influenced me. And I did not know about this initiative back then, and so little did I know that when I went home that evening for dinner, and I told it to my daughter, she said, "You do realize I was right at the front of that march." So that's how all of us can relate to not knowing what goes on in our teenagers' lives. But what it really struck to me, that was the moment where I realized, I should do something about this issue. And there was no hiding from it anymore. And I spent about 6 months. I did a lot of thinking, a lot of coming up with ideas. And then in March 2020, which Geneva was a very different place, the world was a very different place. And I met Angela. We were safely distanced, don't worry. And I said, I have an idea. And the idea was a global competition for young people to turn the frustrations and the passions I'd seen out in the street into something positive. And I said, we didn't just want a competition. That wasn't enough. We needed an entire ecosystem. We needed to inspire kids who weren't aware of this, educate the ones that needed educating, and then we needed to give them mentoring and finally to empower them. And that was the genesis of the Earth Prize. Now, I come to Angie with a lot of crazy ideas, and she could have said, this sounds like a lot of hard work. But instead she said, I love it, and let's do it. And here we are all today. The last thing I'd like to touch on very quickly is why do we need an Earth Prize? And the ambassador's already touched on that, but I'd like to very quickly, if I may, just read a very short passage. So this is a book by David Attenborough, who I'm sure we're all aware. He wrote it when he was 94 as a witness to the changes he's seen throughout his life, traveling around the world. And what he says here, if I can make quote, "We are indeed the first to truly understand the problem." Now, when I read that a few weeks ago, I put the book down and I really thought it was quite profound. Because when you think about it, my grandparents, most of our grandparents, they didn't understand this problem. And, science back then didn't understand it. But we, the adults in this room, the parents and teachers online, there's no denying that there is now a problem. And then to finish the quote, "And we are the last with a chance to do anything about it." And I think that's very true. I really do think the coming generation are the last generation who can fix this problem. If I have kids in the future, I think it's too late for them. It needs to be the kids in school right now. We need to do something to get them ready. And that's why we have an Earth Prize. We need to prepare them. We need to take the real life problems and bring them into the classrooms. And we need to get them thinking about solutions today so that they're ready in the future to fix this problem. So with that, I'd like to hand over to Andrew McCarthy. Thank you.
So firstly, thank you very much, Peter. And again, Ambassador Hickey and your amazing team and my amazing team for everything you've done for us to be here today. So just before I share a bit more with you, let's watch our new schools trailer. When I started speaking to teachers around the world, they wanted to sign up, but they were a little scared, feeling they didn't have enough support in their own schools to be able to do this competition. Very quickly, Peter and I sat down and talked about this, and we agreed that we needed to create some kind of support system for them and for the students, so that this is really student-driven with just monitoring from the teachers and guidance. So we reached out to Professor Gier, who is with us today from EPFL, and he worked with our team to create our own exclusive learning content that when you register, and I know everyone's going to register right after this, and all the parents, you get free access immediately to our platform. And the ecosystem that Peter mentioned earlier is the following. We try to think of almost everything we could to be that support. We have this year 40 mentors from, I think, over 25 countries in the world that are going to be online for the students to answer any questions they might have at any moment. We have an incredible adjudicating panel that are all professionals in their own fields. We have goodwill ambassadors who are there to share what we're doing around the world. And in later stages, they actually jump in and support and help the finalists. You'll hear more about them a little later. We also have a youth board, which is truly inspiring to hear these 14, 15-year-olds that their only excuse when they miss a youth board meeting over Zoom is, we're so sorry we were in Parliament speaking, or things like that. So all very, very good excuses. Amazing what they're doing. So this is the ecosystem that we have built in order for the students, the teachers, the parents, in fact, everyone, to feel that they have time to jump in and start thinking about solutions and take action on top of all their other curriculum, which is sometimes what is mentioned. It has not been a problem from what we saw year one. So with that, I'll tell you what happened last year. So we launched last year exactly a year ago today. And we did not know what was going to happen. But at the end of November, when registration closed, we had thousands of students in over 500 schools, 114 countries and territories worldwide. So that was something for the whole team. We were so thrilled that we had such a welcoming, really, to what we were doing. Now, the adjudicating panel had a very challenging task of selecting the 10 finalists out of hundreds and hundreds of submissions. And I just thought you might want to see some of the solutions that were submitted to get an idea of the brilliance of these teenagers. We're going to now watch the finalist video. Team Rene Mask from Armenia. designing and utilizing a sustainable recycling technology for discarded medical masks. Team Gators from Canada, macroalgae farming to combat pollution and imbalanced ecosystems in cities near the Great Lakes. Team Viridis from Jamaica, a mobile app to help fight food waste from supermarkets. Team Kibra Waste Recyclers from Kenya, converting waste paper into briquettes to produce energy for cooking. Team Sieko from South Korea, a reusable cup circulation system that replaced plastic cups at their local school. Team Aquaponics Training Center of West Africa from Switzerland, a regional training center to make coastal villages in Ghana more sustainable. Big Gems from Taiwan, filtering kits that degrade dye wastewater produced by the textile industry. CWN Team Number 1 from the United Arab Emirates, a digital platform connecting environmental organizations, investors, and volunteers. Team 1 from the United Kingdom, a collaborative solar energy project that brings together a global network of partner schools. Team Adorbsies from Vietnam, biodegradable sanitary pads made out of dragon fruit peels. The winning team was 3 girls from Vietnam, and they came up with an incredible solution where they took the fibers from dragon fruit peel and turned it into a biodegradable sanitary pad. They also have the IP for diapers, amongst other cotton-absorbing products. So that's the kind of level that we're looking at, of quite brilliant solutions and ideas coming together. So that brings me to now, and we are launching the 2nd edition of the Earth Prize competition. And I just want to say I'm so very excited to be here today and to be in the Irish Embassy, to be able to make this announcement in front of all of you today. So registration is officially open for the Earth Prize 2023. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Peter. Very inspiring presentations launching the Earth Prize 2023. And once again, Peter, thank you for this initiative. So, Excellencies, colleagues, how can we help to further this excellent initiative? The answer is by spreading the word, by amplifying the message and galvanizing our own ministries and our education ministries in our home countries. Please take with you, when you're going, I'm not rushing you out, when you're going, some of the material on the Earth Prize, and make sure that your home authorities become engaged in encouraging students to bring their undoubted talents to bear in participating in the Earth Prize 2023. Thank you again, Peter and Angela. Thank you all for attending. And please, there's no need to rush off. The reception is just starting. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We're launched.
Thank you.